Hi, Music Ed folks. Here we are with one of the open vocal scores. This is Bodensee, Robert Schumann, Opus 59, number 2, from one of his choral works. And this is a little excerpt of it here. I think, what is this, a 16-bar excerpt, something like that. And you'll see that your job is going to be a little bit easier here. I am going to share my screen so that you can see the score, and we can talk through some of the score and the fingerings together. The assignment for this time is alto and bass. So if we look here, we see that the alto and the bass have lots of rests. They give way to the soprano as a soloist sometimes. And then when they do play, they have the same rhythm. So if we look here in the first phrase, we see identical rhythms for the soprano or for the alto and the bass. And we also see that they start out at least very close together. We're starting here in the alto with an E flat. That's the lowest note in the phrase. And then the highest note is A flat. So this alto has a range of a fourth. You see the low note here and the high note here. The bass has the high note of C right here, the beginning note, and the low note of G. So it's a pretty narrow range too. And together, they make just slightly above an octave. You see the lowest note is a G, and the highest note is an A flat. So they're very close. The hands are going to be very close here. And I think you won't have any trouble playing the alto phrase there with a stationary hand position. You have probably a couple of options. You could start with your thumb on the E flat, and you would have a fourth under your hand very easily. You could also start with a second finger on the E flat. That might feel a little bit better to have your second finger on the E flat because your long fingers will be on black keys. But that's your choice, and nobody's judging your fingerings here as you play open vocal scores. You really just have to grab what you can, but look for patterns, look for chords, triad inversions, look for scale fragments, things that you know. If you look at the bass for that first phrase, you're going to see well, I think I missed the lowest note. I think I called it a G, but it's really the F, isn't it? Yeah, that was an oversight. Sorry about that. So the range is a little wider than I said. But it's still within a 5-finger position for the bass voice. You do have some chromatics, which is going to require some extra fingers. You have to grow a 6th finger to get that additional note in there, or have to make some accommodation. I'd say an accommodation's a little easier. So I'd probably start here with, oddly enough, I think I'd start with a finger 2 on the C, and then immediately turn under to a 1 like that. 2, 2, 1, 1. Now, when I'm in that position, I'm going to stop my share here for a second so you can see my hand, and you can probably feel this too. When you see 2, 1, then my hand is over the remaining notes. They're all there. So if I start with a 1, then I have to make some changes in the middle of the phrase. And it's easier to make that change right there where the slow notes are. So that's the fingering I would choose there. You can choose the other fingering, starting on the thumb if you want. Let's play through the alto first, right hand alone. 1, just the first phrase. 1, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Now the bass voice. 1, ready, go. 1, much slower tempo, both voices together. 1 and 2 and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3. Let me just point out one thing here. You might look at this right here, and you might think, well, that's a bar line. That shows me where the end of the measure is. I'm going to suggest to you it's more than that. I'm going to suggest to you that that is a dynamic marking. What did you say? Dynamic marking? Yeah. Listen. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Look at that word. Vaterlanda. Vaterlanda. The D part of it is certainly not an accented note. Vaterlanda. It helps with the inflection. So if you, as an accompanist for your high school or junior high school choir, if you think of those bar lines as dynamic markings, you know that the downbeats are going to be a little bit more louder than the second beat. That helps to inflect the words correctly. As an accompanist, you want to help the choir understand the inflection of the words so that those words are more understandable to the audience. If you come through and play that second beat louder than the first beat, you'd be singing it like Vaterlanda, and it's unmusical, and it's like mispronouncing words in your own language. So just pay attention to where the note falls in the measure. And especially as you're an accompanist, you'll want to help represent the inflection of the text. Okay, let's look at the second phrase here. We have a soprano solo, and then we have the alto come in. I'd take that much. That looks like a scale to me. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 2. And then you can probably see somebody has written some fingerings down here already. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2. And here you'd have a little choice, but I'd probably play 5, 3, 2. You might choose 4, 2, 3, or you might choose 3, 1, 2 in the bass. All of those would work. Let's play those hands together. I'll give you a moment to practice them on your own. Or you can stop the video, pause it there, and work out those two lines, hands separately, and then come back and turn it on again, and let's play it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 E and 2. Let's drill that 2 more times. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E and ready E and go E and 2 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 1 E and 2 E. That phrase has a wide range, but you take care of it with scale fingerings. Okay, looking ahead at the alto part, her phrase, 3 and 2, 3 to 1. And you could make a case that it continues or that it stops there. I think I'd probably continue here as so 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. I'd continue on into measure 12 and call that the end of the phrase there in all the voices. Let's try the bass and the soprano. They're not difficult here, so you'll just need to drill them. Let's play them through once together. 1, this is the pickup to measure 9, alto and bass. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2, 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. And then you see an ending phrase that's not too difficult here in this little excerpt. But always we're looking to determine the range of the phrase in each voice part, and then from that determine fingerings and where any moves have to take place, if any, and then how we're going to make those moves. Then draw in the fingerings that show the essentials of that move. Don't draw in every fingering. It tells you less than if you just draw in the fingers of the moment of the move. If you draw in those fingers, you'll see not only which fingers to play with, but where the move is. Okay, I hope that helps in putting that together, alto and bass for next time.